How you doing? Good. Oh, sure. Well, I guess we'll share because I stole the.
Yeah, it's nice.
We're good.
We're good, all right.
Fine.
Call meeting to order at 4:04 PM. Roll call, Supervisor Fonda Brewer.
Present.
All right, Chairperson Tony Goldie here, Vice Chair Scott Berman,
Present.
Secretary Rachel Elzinga.
Present.
All right, Peggy Van Payne,
Present.
Kelvin Jones. Bill DeBose,
Present.
Keith Wright,
Present.
and Donald Lavelle.
Present.
We have a quorum. This is fantastic. Full house.
First time ever.
Great way. All right.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. So in front of you, everybody should have an agenda. Any questions about the agenda? If not, I move to approve the agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're on there. All right, very good. No public comments, it looks like. Okay. So minutes from the May 12th meeting. I apologize, I was not here. Any questions, concerns, comments about?
Yeah, sorry, we have to deal with this. I don't know what
Okay.
I don't know what the fix is. No, it's been happening for months. So we both have to speak into the microphones because we need to be recorded.
Okay,
But I don't know, maybe there's some magic angle that will work.
I don't know. Okay, well, we'll do our best.
Hold your ear.
Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes from May 12th? If not, move
All
to,
right.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from May 12th.
So Lord.
We good? All in favor? Good? All right. So we're all moving right along. All items of business then. Peter, you want to take us through?
Yeah, sorry, just kind of splash screens here. All right, old items been selection of officers. So we put this off for a couple of meetings. One while the issue with the appointments was sorted out, and I'll be the first, since no one has done it yet. Keith Wright, we have here, new member. This group is at full strength. Keith Wright over here, Donald Lavelle over here to our right. Bill was recently re-upped, so he's legit. So we have a full strength CIA board.
Well, great job. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. That's not gonna be-
Scott, obviously.
Locally.
Let me just set our IT guy. Talking to Dave or-
Yeah.
Were you talking to Dave? or-
Was it a post, Calvin, postpartum on the storm? Is that what it was? Or the one coming up?
Well,
It's getting ready in case.
we'll see.
Follow it. I'm glad you guys are all the trick.
We're on.
So, at the last couple meetings, we talked about election of officers. There's not a lot of anything new. I've got a memo in your meeting packet that just describes the officer position, so it's chair, vice chair, and secretary. However, the CIA board uses this ascendancy model, and what it requires or asks the group to do would be the vice chair, who's Scott, would ascend to the chair. Tony as the chair would roll off, and we'd be looking for a new secretary. So that could be the mission today. If you were adamantly against that, can't find anybody to fill in, I would think you could vote to suspend your bylaws and appoint someone else. We can cross that road when we come to it, I guess. So right now, with the current chair is looking for nominations for the secretary position. A little background on the secretary position, you don't really have to do the secretary, it's a job. Township staff is willing and able to take the minutes. And do any of the administrative work for this group, so there's no specific. The description is to execute documents, the name of the CIA board, responsible for the minutes, will take care of the minutes. If at some point there's a document that needs to be signed by the secretary, that could happen, but I don't mean to diminish the role, but I just wanna at least alleviate any fears that there's actual work associated with it. So that's what we're looking for, is a nomination for secretary, if the two members that are ascending are willing to ascend.
Well, let's start with that. Scott,
Yeah,
are you,
yep,
you good to go?
Yep.
Chair, okay, so Scott, chair, check. Rachel?
Just Rachel and I were the two
Vice?
previous secretaries. I would just throw on the
I was
table
gonna say.
that it's not He's not underselling it. It
It's
was,
legitimately,
it's
thank you for
legitimately
your service.
during my year, I think I had one thing to sign, which was the first year. That was it. So if you don't take notes, you're not responsible. That's what I was all worried about when I did, like, am I gonna have to take notes and all that? I didn't. So if somebody's willing to accept that and join it, I think you'd find it easy.
I'm willing to accept that, Jeff.
Yes.
Yay.
Secretary Kelly.
Support.
After a great description of it, I think I can do that. Yes.
So we have a motion to,
I move to appoint or approve the nomination of Kelvin Jones as secretary of the CIA board.
Support.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, done.
Thank you, Calvin.
Good, yeah.
so.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
They should try to throw it on a new guy.
I was getting ready to nominate you.
So the new chair, the new officers begin serving immediately, so now. So welcome.
That's the gap.
Right here.
Like, I gotta
Oh,
go.
I gotta go. Wow, I like that. That's fantastic. So
Good.
I think we're good.
Okay, so we'll move on then to the West Saginaw Highway MDOT project review.
Yeah, I'll introduce Doug. So we all know Doug Strauss, who's from Benesh, serving as a consultant for the Township CIA board on this project. Things are finally starting to heat up with this project. This is the time for public input. Passed around to your spots, a mailer that went to 1,200 different, whether it's residences or businesses in the township. They went to a large geographic area west of the highway that included all the neighborhoods on the west of the highway, basically over past Broadbent. And then every business and property in the CIA district
Got one.
got one of these cards. Yeah. And they also, I partnered with, thanks to Keith, introduced me to, I had met her before, but Amy Hoy is with Grand Ledge Chamber. And Amy has a mailing list of 2,100 people that she emailed out to.
Awesome.
It popped up on Facebook and I'm like, who took
I saw
our
it on
diagram? Hasn't
Facebook.
even gotten to the mail. We've got a mole in the township. Well, I didn't realize, I was way ahead of myself and Amy had shot the note out to
That's
her
awesome.
group, which is great.
That's good.
It's popped up on everything from Reddit to every other social media thing in the area, so which is good. I mean, that's the whole intent, is just to get eyes on this thing. But good or bad, we want the eyes on it.
What does the group feel, even if we made a Word document, that it would be valuable to offer businesses the opportunity on the corridor to post it? Like we would post it in our restaurant, it just
Oh,
to bring additional awareness. If we think that's valuable, we think it's counterproductive. I mean, I think it's always hard to get participation in these things, right? It's like we have this responsibility to make it public, but we really do want feedback. We
Absolutely.
still, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody feels
It won't
one way or
hurt
the other.
at all. Right.
Yeah.
I'll share it with as many businesses as I can. One of the challenges and one of the things that my department is tasked with doing is trying to formulate contacts for all the businesses. We don't have solid emails for everybody, but for the people that we do have, we can send them to
Okay,
the PDF of this.
yes,
Yeah.
we'll post it. I'll post.
All right, and then the
Yes.
township's gonna be doing a social media blast through our different channels. And we've already got some stuff out there, but we'll be doing more here coming up soon. So all that is said, I'm ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Come back to B in a second. But A is, we have Doug here to walk through the 3 design alternatives that MDOT has submitted to this group. Ultimately, what they're looking for is a recommendation on alternatives by your July meeting.
okay.
And that's a request. I would not necessarily look at that as a mandate that you have to come down one way or the other. Don't feel the political pressure to necessarily make that happen. But I think that this session today is intended to work out, learn as much as you can about the alternatives, the pros and the cons of each, any potential impacts of what to any of those alternatives, to help you become as informed as possible, so that if you do want to, if this group is ready to make a recommendation in July, that you've got all the information. And then today also daylight any questions or missing pieces of information that you might still need, that'll give us some time to put it together to have it ready for you in July, or to send it well before that. So Doug has prepared a presentation he's going to walk you through. There is a physical copy of the presentation at each of your spaces. and we can get you those via email afterwards. The plans are just, one of the challenge, the physical aspect of the corridor, it's wide. So it doesn't lend itself well to printing on an 8.5 by 11 or even a 17 by 11 sheet. I've got a 36 by 24 of all the plans in the back that we can pull
Oh,
out here if necessary. We can do a little bit of zooming on the big screen to give us some detail, and I can kind of work that if we wanna, when we get to that. So,
Are these the same ones that we saw the
they
last
are,
time?
they're the
Yeah, they were great.
aerial images.
And in the presentation on a couple of the key things, I zoomed in and snippeted a couple of the items to help, so we don't have to.
Yeah, that look good.
Yeah. So, yeah, if we wanna, have Doug get started, that would be, and Doug, if you could just orient yourself
Yeah.
behind the
Did,
podium and speak into the
Did
mic.
this get included in their packet? That one I sent you on Friday morning?
M43, MDOT alternative review.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep, okay.
Did.
yeah, that was just, that intention was just for y'all to read through it and get a kind of an idea of where the alternatives were and their purpose and need, and then a little more information on a J-turn. Some of them, sometimes it's referred to as an arc cut. In other states like this state, it's a J-turn. So, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing this, aren't I?
You're on it for it. Yeah, you're in charge over there. Okay, so if you all remember, and some of you were here and some weren't, and I appreciate the full audience today. I don't know if it's because of me or the election, but it's nice to see everybody. So early on, we had that value planning or exercise where we went through constraints, needs, and desires. You can go next slide. So I went through these, and as we go through these, anything in green is MDOT has included in the project in some way. Blue, it could be in the project, and a red, they have not included in the project, and most than likely it won't be in the project because of issue with the design and just not feasibility. So you can stay right there for a second. Thanks. So the constraints we had accommodate large trucks. Though it's not the way we would like to see it, they have accommodated the large trucks, and we'll get into that. 12-foot lanes, they're maintaining the ramps, maintain local access to residences, businesses along M43, which they have, and then maintain local access to residents and businesses along Broadbent. So all of our constraints have been met. Okay, we go next one. So the needs, this is where it gets a little different. So accommodate future development traffic generators. They have done that. They've used a traffic study that was recently submitted to the township for some additional work up there on the north side. They do have the continuous sidewalks on both sides of M43. The 10-foot sidewalk, they are not doing. They said, I believe they were going to just build a 5-foot sidewalk. Provide safe pedestrian crossing. In my opinion, they are going to do that. How they cross is different in each option, in a couple of the options. Provide enhanced pedestrian crossings. I believe they'll be doing that. We can work on that with them. I don't think that. And the refuge at the marketplace has been done. The audible, they will have countdown audible signal heads for people. And then the mid-block crossing, we are not doing that. That was one thing we looked at. Roadway lighting. So the reason roadway lighting is blue, if you remember at the meeting, that is a township thing that has to be worked out with the Board of Water and Light. It's not an MDOT. MDOT does not light the roadway. That is typically the part of the township, and either Board of Water and Light maintains it, you pay them to maintain it, or how that works out. But that's where the roadway lighting comes in. Oh, I have a misspell already. Sorry. The Lazy Boy store, we had closed one drives and reconfigured. Now that's in blue because MDOT said they are not looking at access management now. I believe we should force that issue with them as they move into the design. They're going to have to be talking to property owners anyways about right of way in the project. That should be all part of the process. They're trying to push it back on the township, but that should be something they look at, and we can get into that from a safety standpoint. We talked about relocating all utilities underground. The cost was gonna be not, made that basically unfeasible, plus all the other underground work. 11-foot temp lanes. They haven't done much with construction, but I'm pretty sure they'll be doing that. Within the interchange, they do not show any sidewalk right now through the whole interchange. I do have, they could maybe perform some grading for us. I have something like that, but I doubt they will go past the ramp they're relocating. Which is the off ramp that's right out here, you know, if you saw, we'll show that is, but they're relocating that ramp a little further to the east. Maintain intersection movements during construction. I'm sure that will be addressed, but not all movements will be. I'm sure they'll have to restrict some movements during construction. So that's why that's blue. It won't be all of them, but a majority will be. And same thing with the access to business and deliveries. That's likely will be done. It will just be staged differently and some of their access points will change. Maintain one lane in each direction. That's for sure. And then maintain ramp movements. That will happen also.
And-
Yes,
Can you just refresh my memory?
yes,
When they looked at the first point, accommodate future development traffic.
yes.
Didn't they state some general assumptions? It was basically the businesses that existed today based on some assumptions, but it wasn't looking deep into like the additional housing that might go back there. I guess my point is it's
Mhm.
likely that this is barring some socioeconomic change. It's more likely this underestimates traffic than overestimates traffic. Cause I don't think it referred to additional growth per se. I'm asking, that's my recollection.
I'll tell you,
Okay.
so they worked with me on that. So what I was able to do is get them traffic studies for all the projects that have happened in the last several years.
Mhm.
And then it is not accommodating all potential growth in the area, definitely. I mean, that's fair to say. However, I had the traffic study updated for Delta crossings to reflect potential future phases, kind of max build out.
Okay.
So that is in there.
That's good.
The rest of the rest of the sites, I mean, there could be very significant changes. It does not, at least in the work that I did with them, did not consider like wholesale dramatic change from what's there now. But at least we are accommodating for the new growth plus
Yep.
future phases of Delta crossings.
Okay.
Yeah, they're working with the best information they have to date. I guess let's
I just think
just
it's
say
right
that.
for us as a group to start with the premise that it's not like they're trying to hypothesize what might happen
No.
as much as what they know or think can happen
Correct.
definitively.
Mhm.
And then on the fifth point, which is provide enhanced pedestrian crossings, I'm
Right.
sorry, I'm just drawing a blank what enhanced meant.
Okay, well, it can be like we talked about with the J turns, having the yellow bollards out there to
Got it,
show,
got it.
or you can, you know, as they go through, do we want, some of them do the wide cross pedestrian, you know, crosswalks instead of the white lines. That's something that's enhanced. There's different things they can do just with pavement markings or colored pavement or something like that to enhance them.
Just to help safety for people
Yes,
using them?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then my third and final question I
Yeah.
have right now is, I know we talked about relocating the ramp that you just talked about.
Yes.
And again, refresh my memory,
Yeah.
what was because obviously that's not an inexpensive change to relocate that ramp, which is
Correct.
not very old. So why did they feel it necessary to do that, to draw the traffic further down?
So the way it's set up, they have the median crossover for when you go past Marketplace to make the median crossover. You know, is he gonna pull something up?
I was gonna pull up the design if that makes sense to look at it or not.
Yeah,
Sorry
you
if I'm
could.
taking us back to
Oh,
it.
no, you're not. This is fine. This is perfect. Yeah, just zoom in on that right side in there. So what they're trying to do. So they're putting in the new signal down at that end which doesn't exist today. So they're trying to get spacing from that loon, that crossover and the loon and the new ramp. So they're increasing the gap so they can adjust the signal timing to get traffic through that left at the crossover. Cause that's gonna be a high volume move. And then they're now signalizing the on-ramp, which I don't believe it's signalized now. I think that's just a free flow movement when there's a gap. So number one, it increases safety, but two, the main reason it's all being done is because of that crossover
Mhm.
in the
And where's the
boulevard.
crossover?
Right there to the left, right by the Texas Roadhouse Drive, right there.
There.
Gotcha. So they're getting space for that,
Yes.
but it's actually closer to it, right?
No,
No, it's
the new
further.
ramp is farther away.
Okay, the new ramp is the straight one.
Right.
Yes, yep,
Gotcha, gotcha.
Those
Yes,
two signals are new.
yes.
all three of them. are-
Three are new,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
there, like today, there's nothing
Correct,
on the west side of 96, 69. Okay.
right, and that left
That's good.
is, I don't think signalized either.
Are they really gonna use that loon out there? That's gonna be the design.
That is gonna be designed. If you remember at the last, well, I shouldn't say that, but at the last, local advisory group, I believe they showed that also as a 2-lane crossover. And I believe the notes and everybody's comments were they're worried about the double crossover and people hitting one another. So I believe the decision right now is a single 1-lane crossover through there. But they'll still need that for a larger, just regular truck.
For a truck that makes a Michigan left, right?
Yeah,
Because there's some challenges.
yeah.
Because the median is so narrow to make that turn, you're gonna need that loon.
We don't like them, obviously.
If I could jump in with a few questions.
Yes, sir.
So just to catch me up, so the
Uh-huh.
10-foot sidewalks, you said we're not doing that. What's the current size of the sidewalks? Are they 5 foot currently or 10?
Well, it kind of varies out there. There's stretches where it's 10 foot and then there's stretches where it's like 5 foot. I think the desire was to make it all 10 foot, like more of a shared use path type situation. But and that's, unless we have something, they're just, right now, their plan is just, I think mainly because of space to put the 5 foot back.
So when you say shared use, are you meaning like bicycles and pedestrians walking? Okay.
Yes,
So what? Sounds like they're just gonna opt for 5 foot sidewalks for a cost savings measure.
right. And then I think the majority is 5 foot, so that's kind of the
Okay.
precedent. So they're just establishing the 5 foot. And to me, that's something as the design moves forward, because one of the key issues that right now it's in a planning stage, so there's no survey. A lot of this is just a 2D line on the thing. Once you figure out where the right of way line is and how the profile and the ditching and the grading, that's when you start figuring out, okay, do I have room for a wider sidewalk? Can I still drain the area, drain the pavement? And then there could be still some opportunities to get it. They might ask for a cost share though, that they would only pay for a 5 foot and then the township would have to pay for the extra 5 foot.
I would say, given what I see from my own, I've never seen anybody walking down the sidewalk, so a 5 foot is just fine as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying, it's kind of by culvers and stuff, I think where the 10 foot one is
Yeah.
in through that area. And I'm not sure how it got to 10 foot. I don't know if that's their standard practice when they do a site plan or if it was required by the township at that point.
The mid-block pedestrian crossing,
Yeah.
was that the over by Market where they're saying if you were trying to cross from?
No, that would be between a traffic signal, like,
Okay.
between Broadbent and Marketplace. Somebody suggested, should we put a mid-block? And you see those out here on Saginaw further to the east. And they've got the little island in there and you can cross. It's pretty dangerous. I think most people, especially with the speeds out here, they have a mid-block crossing and it's not that far, so.
Okay, but that would not be traffic light controlled? that
No.
Crossing, okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
I mean, they could put that little push button flasher thing that you're supposed to stop like they'd have around MSU, but a lot of people don't stop. One person will stop, next person won't, and somebody's gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's what's happening on Hagedorn.
And then with relocating underground utilities, were we just talking about overhead
Yes,
power and cable
all the
lines?
overhead, the power, cable, anything, and the cost. Number one, to find the space underground, and then with all the storm sewer and sanitary sewer, and the cost to do that would be astronomical.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Brian,
was just gonna say with the, our initial goal was 10 foot shared use pathway. So I think MDOT tried to incorporate that, but they do not have enough it was always intended that that would be the township cost.
Yep.
Or participating costs, or they would help us find grants for that. But I think in these models, in a lot of areas, there was not enough room. They didn't have enough right of way, so they kind of pushed it on us if we're able to go out and get easements, which at this moment, we did not have time. Yeah, that's tough to do, but ultimately it would be nice to have, I think that was a goal identified by this board, to have 10-foot
Yep.
pathway on both sides
There
of
was
the
a
road.
lot of feedback that the group got for non-motorized travel on the road and trying to accommodate that as best we could. Everything from bicycles to wheelchairs to
Mhm.
skateboards, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
And there is quite a bit of
There-
kids, especially, believe it or not,
Yeah.
that are bicycling on the north side of Saginaw. In that current 10-foot pathway. They come from that broad neighborhood off of Broadbent and then are coming, a lot of them ride their bikes to work at Culver's. And then we see them come in as well to cash your checks or whatever else. So there is traffic, especially for the kids, is where I'd be
Yeah.
more concerned,
Yeah.
where I definitely would not want to risk putting them out onto the Saginaw Highway in a bike lane or something like that. Not that
And
they
we're
have bike
obviously
lanes
not in
there,
the
but-
section under discussion right now, but our restaurant down here, we probably get, this is completely a little bit of a guess, but probably get 20 people a day on our sidewalk in front of our restaurant, 20 to 30 people. Between the bus stops and people who are walking home from Myers to go to, with groceries in their hands or it's fairly well used. But it sounds like this is something that for all the reasons Donald mentioned and then you mentioned, cost and space, cost specifically, which makes
Right.
sense.
Mhm.
It's something that we don't necessarily have to cross off the plan. We may eventually be able to revisit it if we think it's strategically important or significant
Right.
enough to the residents. We're just gonna have to be able to accept some of the cost sharing and
Right.
we gotta get the space to do it. both.
Yeah, so it could, it could end up, really, maybe the 10-foot width should be blue and then the other one through the
Mhm.
interchange
But
should
I'm
be red.
thinking,
That's
doesn't
probably,
sound like it's a solid red to me.
right.
Yeah.
It's probably not. It's probably blue, right? My bad. But that's what we're here, to talk through it.
Yep.
Just like my wife, I'm never worried, always right, so. All right, so the desires, we might see a little bit more red in the desires and blue because they're desires and we know MDOT doesn't have any money. So minimize ramp closures during closures durations, that would be during construction. I'm sure that will be addressed. They'll have specifics in their contract that they can only close a certain ramp so many days and must be open to traffic. Of course, the boulevard, provide a center left turn lane during construction. That's probably not going to be feasible. That could be feasible in some areas, maybe at the intersections temporarily, but that would have to wait to see how the MOT works out. I doubt they will look at right turn lanes at Broadbent during construction, especially now they're more kind of like a flare. There's really not one there. And if it's a through and a turn, they'll just keep it as a through and turn lane share. And they'll see if they'll see the need. Where a marketplace though, that would be something as they build the road out, if they get enough space, adding a right turn lane to get traffic in the marketplace and out of the through lanes is typically a desire during the MOT process. Limit right-of-way acquisition, I think MDOT and the board is all in agreement to limit that. The decorative lighting and mast arms, those are another one that MDOT would look for the board to pick up that extra cost versus and of course, the decorative lighting would have to be worked out with Board of Water and Light. Reduce unprotected pedestrian crossings. We are doing that because whatever plan they have for pedestrian crossings, it's all being upgraded to current safety standards. Roadway lighting, again, that is a goal, but that would be part of the township agreement with the Board of Water and Light. Again, the same spelling issue here. So This one here is close both driveways and provide cross or rear access. That's probably a big reach. It's not unachievable, but that one MDOT would probably really lean on the township to help with that one. And if everybody understands, so Lazy Boy has two driveways very close together. That one was close both of them and then connect it to the roadway in the back or to the two businesses to the side. And there's a
So
lot of
no
benefit to
access
that.
on Saginaw.
Yes. The back access would be on the road within that complex. I forgot what the name of that road is called in the development.
Is that McGaldy Lane?
Well, McGaldy Lane goes out. Is the whole thing McGaldy Lane?
What?
Inside that
Wanna pull up a
development, or is
picture?
it just a road that goes out to Saginaw, McGaldy?
Yeah, from Delta Market Drive to.
Oh, that's all
That's
McGaldy
that's all
Lane.
McGaldy Lane.
Okay,
Yeah.
I figured you would know that.
You should just ask Tony.
Yeah.
Is your face on the street sign?
I could do that for him.
So Lazy Boy will just have one,
Right now, they're
Streetway.
gonna keep two driveways. Lazy Boy will have two driveways. That's what they're permitted for.
right?
But the big desire, and it's later on here in the slides.
Okay.
When we talk about it, but the big desire to me would be to at least get rid of one of them.
Okay.
And that's something about the access management and everything else. So a couple red ones, place sidewalk on the north side, east to Canal through the interchange. They are not gonna do that. Lower the speed, we've brought that up before and keep shooting that down. They've somewhat done the reconfigure the outside exit and entrance ramps from 96 on the west side to align with one signal. They've kind of modified that based on their boulevard design. So at least now we have signalized and that improves safety and reduces some conflicts. Of course, the skywalk at the mid block is a no. And the next one, add brackets to lighting for banners and flags. I kept that blue because and I'll have that further on in the presentation. That's something that maybe through a TAP grant, we could get that money and do that. MDOT said they would help with that. That's what we've talked about. And make M43 and Marketplace intersection a full access intersection with dual lefts as warranted and right turn lanes. They've somewhat done that with the J turns because we have one left that's one lane and one left that's two lanes, and then they have right turn lanes. It's not quite full access because it doesn't go across, but it's pretty close to what our desire was. We had a lot of desires. Next one.
Can I ask a
Yes,
question?
yes, Scott.
I'm just curious and I'm sure there's a technical reason for it, but why does MDOT, I don't know if the right word is get involved or oppose when the township is interested in lowering speed limits? What are they trying to manage by saying, oh, we can't lower speed limits?
It's all based on usage, so the police would do a study. There would be a study out there of speed, and then it's based on the 85th percentile of the speed of the vehicles using the road, and that's how the speed limit's set.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah. So if everybody would drive slower.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
then
so
we could get
I'm
it,
screwing
but
this thing up.
They need to drive slower.
So Duncan, it is a state police thing and not necessarily MDOT.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Huh.
Was there legislation a couple years ago that put more of that conversation in the township or city government hands though? Cause I remember that used to be a hard and fast rule, but I felt like there was a change in the law that allows more input from the local community.
There might, you're probably right. I just don't know of it. I've just heard of that same study, and I don't know, maybe when it goes to, if somebody that does like a roadway diet where it goes from the 4 lanes to 3 lanes, and more than likely maybe that's where it's coming in with it, whether they can lower the speed versus that, but I haven't seen it. I haven't read that one.
It's crazy to me. The speed limit's the same what it was 20 years ago.
I know.
And the volume is completely different and the people turning in and out is different. How did that make any sense?
Working on a job over in Detroit, same type of situation, and their speed limit is 55
Yeah.
through an area like this, and I just find that ridiculous, but.
Now, obviously, one accident is too many, but we do have frequent accidents out on this whole corridor.
Right.
So,
Yep. Okay, next slide. So the few other ones and mainly the first two blue ones, again, that's part of a TAP grant if we want to pursue, if the township would like to pursue that. And benches could be part of that, but I'm not sure there's going to be room for a bench anywhere, given the limited space and not sure, that would be my thing about the bench. You'd have to probably put it on the back of the sidewalk and get, approval by the property owner to put one. MDOT did review a roundabout in M43 in Broadbent and said from a traffic standpoint, it would have to be a 3 to 4 lane roundabout and would not work. So that one they did look at and it was taken off the table, wasn't even part of the alternatives. Closed commercial drive. I don't think they've even, that's something I doubt that would ever happen. It would be nice to happen, but it's not going to happen. But it could if somebody really forced it here at the township to close it and made people mad, but. The other last ones are raised median around M43 to prevent lefts. That's what the boulevard is doing. And then 12-foot lanes during construction. Typically, they keep it at 11, so they have more either room for workers or buffer, or just to make it safe, they just use 11-foot lanes. You rarely, I doubt we'll see 12-foot out there for sure. All right, so the alternatives, indirect left alternative. Advantages, the big thing about this whole project, and I think I mentioned this in this, they need to keep a boulevard situation for the grant that they've received. So the layout matches the grant as close to the grant as it can. The other major change that this one does, it allows the pedestrian crossings at both Marketplace and Broadbent for the pedestrian to cross in all quadrants of the intersection, just like you see everywhere else. It provides a refuge for the pedestrians in the median at the Marketplace intersection. The other thing this alternative does that the other two does not, it does provide 1 lane of cross traffic at Marketplace and Broadbent intersections. So that means if you're on Broadbent or Marketplace, you can go across M43. They have 1 lane to do that. So you don't have to get on M43, use the turnaround and come back. You can just go right across. They added the dual rights at Marketplace, of course, to handle that traffic to go east or west. And then they added right turn lanes at Broadbent. So most of the traffic you'll see in all these options, the real traffic issue is the Saturday peak traffic on all of them. The main daily traffic for all 3 of these alternatives are relatively the same. There's one area that's kind of not good in all of them, but in the majority, everything else is the same capacity level of service there is. But in this one, so on Saturday, we'll just look at the Saturdays. The right turn from Magaldi Drive to eastbound. So these 3, they fail. So level of service is how much traffic that can, they consider geez, all of a sudden it's really loud. So the level of service is a traffic volume that they find acceptable. So anything that's an E or an F, it goes from A to F. E or F is a failure. A D is acceptable. C is really what everybody shoots for. A or B is the dream, and D is kind of a normal a lot of times. So the right turn from Magaldi Drive to eastbound doesn't work. Eastbound lanes between Magaldi and Menards Drive doesn't work, hence why the right turn lane doesn't work. And then the right turn from southbound Marketplace to westbound M43 also gets fails. The other issue with all 3, and this is a big one, and this I think will be may not be with the public, but I gotta guarantee it'll be with the businesses. Trucks, the larger trucks, the delivery trucks on M43 that are on westbound, they have to drive all the way west of Broadbent on M43 and turn around to come back to get to any businesses on the south side of M43. And maybe the first time when they tried to use that crossover just west of Marketplace, they'll realize they can't do it.
Where's that at?
So that's the crossover they have to use.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to cut off dialogue
No.
on this.
No,
far
this is
from
good.
it, because I think it's important everybody gets the chance to explore this.
yes.
But for those of us who were here at the last meeting, I think there was a pretty overwhelming sense that indirect did not look like a real viable solution, that it was one of the J-turns that
Is the best.
Yeah.
were better options. Not, again, none of them are gonna be perfect, but were better options.
Yes.
And so I don't know how much time we want to spend on this, or if we want to pull up the map for Tony and Rachel, maybe who weren't here
Oh, no,
to be able to see it, or.
no, we're good.
So why,
Yeah, I already agree.
do we ask the question why Broadbent can't be fully opened? I mean, if you're talking about sending trucks all the way beyond Broadbent,
Mhm.
even if you can have a multitude of fixes. You could have an indirect configuration on one end and a direct left configuration on the other end. You got the J-turn at Marketplace and you can have a full access at Broadbent. Do we
I
ask those?
think, doesn't one of these have a straight through? Indirect doesn't, but doesn't one of these have a straight through at Broadbent?
That's the indirect. We got the J turns up there right now.
Right.
Which one? The first one's indirect?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't think it worked, but that one did offer a direct end. They needed the curb for the pedestrians, Tony, as I recall, to have a place.
But
to
again,
safely go.
so Tony, if a truck gets off or is coming from the east or gets off there at the interchange,
Yeah,
they want to go to Marketplace South or
Yeah.
or Broadbent or even McGaldy Drive, they have to go and all the way west here and use that crossover.
gotcha.
And that is in every option. Indirect,
Right.
the 1-lane J turn and the 2-lane J turn. That is a common factor of every, because they, right there at this one, just slide to the left a little bit. Yeah, right there. So that dual crossover, given the limited space, cannot handle a truck.
But they will try it.
I bet you do, because you're gonna sign it and sign it and
How
sign
close
it.
is it, Doug? Do you know? What are we
I
designing?
gotta
for?
believe it's pretty, I
WB
don't even think
60?
they, I don't even know, yeah, I don't even, 60 or 65, I doubt they can even, I don't even know. I
I'm
don't even know if he can
I
get
have no idea.
cattle.
I mean, are you talking about 2 feet? You're talking about 6
I'm
inches?
talking
You're
about more
talking
than that, I'm
10 feet?
talking at least 10 or 15 feet. There, you would be into the parking lot
Okay,
for sure.
so you got some right away there.
I mean, you can just see that loon up there on the other side. How much that sticks out there on the north, and just flip that back over to the south and you're gonna have, it's gonna be a lot. And then the taper of that loon would probably almost come all the way over close to Menard's Drive.
Yeah,
But that's one of the concerns with all the options.
what's the truck traffic?
Yeah,
The
and
big
then
look.
figuring it out.
Have they specifically studied the truck traffic so that we know what we're getting into? Like somebody sat out there with a video camera and just watched all day?
They did traffic counts. They
Okay.
they recently set up a lot of traffic counts over a weekend or a weekend did updated traffic counts. So yes, they're pretty accurate.
What is that entitled? Just counting the number of 18-wheelers actually doing
Right, yeah,
deliveries?
the counter, and then they saw, I don't know if they had anybody out there watching the old school, they'd have people out there counting too, but those traffic counters can tell what type of vehicles crossing.
Okay, so
And
just
they do all the, yep,
whole
and do,
crossover.
and then all the intersections and the turning movements, yep.
So that a counter kind of tells us, but that still doesn't really give us where they're trying to go. we know they're going down Saginaw, but we don't know if they're going to Walmart or if they're going to Lowe's or if they're going.
No, and it, you know, to me, really, you know, they're turning at Marketplace is where they're turning. So they can't turn there, you know, they will be able to turn with a J turn. Can they make that with the J turn? I thought they said everyone had to go all the way over because I don't even think they can make it with the J
But that's for
turn.
our truck route.
Cause currently, can you go south on Broadbent as a truck? Is that legal currently?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can go, you know, more than likely they'll turn the one and then they can come in off of Broadbent and then work through McGaldy Drive over.
Yeah.
But Doug, the trucks are limited to only the roads where we have truck routes, right?
Correct,
It doesn't mean that's where they're always gonna go, but
correct.
And how are they informed, other than I know we'll have signage? Is there some truck language that you get to them
When
before?
their truck or GPS
Yes,
gets.
right.
Yeah,
Is there
that's-
a truck or something?
Yeah, I mean, if you have trucks too, you get updated all the time.
Right.
Great, so they'll
I had
know about
70,
it.
75 drivers, so we would get updated about legal roads and weight limits, and it changes in the winter. Because when it's colder, you can't put some roads won't allow you to be as heavy on them as they are, so.
Well, it's good to know.
The other thing I wanted to point out with the indirect left option is all the traffic coming from the west that's going to North Marketplace actually has to go past Marketplace and come back the other direction. There's no way to turn onto the north side, and with that getting built out and being in the Grand Ledge District, especially if there's housing back there, where does all that go? They're all gonna have to turn,
Walk me through that, Keith, make
if
sure.
they're coming from the west, so from the left of the
See
screen.
Pete's trying to draw for us.
The first opportunity they have to turn to the north would actually be to go through Art Van, or excuse me, Value City. Otherwise, their next opportunity is back all the way in front of Texas Roadhouse. So Pete, will you go all the way towards Grand Ledge?
Back.
Yeah, so if they're coming from that direction and now slowly move to the east towards the Township building. You can't turn left at Broadbent. Your first turnaround opportunity is there in front of Quality Dairy or MSU FCU, where you could go back to Value City and cut through.
Mhm.
Or your next opportunity now to turn left to get into the north side of any of that complex is not until you're in front of Texas Roadhouse. And so
Yeah.
all that traffic you're turning around and putting back that direction. I just think it's a lot of traffic to be forcing through there, and how many of those folks are gonna end up cutting through Value City, across Quality Dairy and Culver's.
And that's why I've been asking, where is the
crazy.
Carlsbad Road in any of these plans?
Are we, isn't there a left turn where those dual lights are on the left edge of the screen right now?
No, not on this plan. Is it me that's the problem?
it's not you, it's our microphone infrastructure here.
Mike's was bad over
What, did one of the alternatives, Doug, have a turn there?
The
I'm
J
sorry.
turns do.
Where's that at? I'm sorry.
It's
Scott.
a teacher.
At Marketplace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's one of the reasons I think we thought indirect didn't work. The big downside to the J turns, I think, came at McGaldy Lane. And there was a lot of, it failed with right-hand turns. And it wasn't because of volume, it was because of time and traffic backing up on the road. And the thought was, the people are gonna figure out a shortcut and they're gonna go over to whatever, Menard Drive.
Right.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
They're
I
just
think
gonna
that's,
cut over there so that they
That's
can
what they'll
use
do.
the light to turn, and still wasn't good, but it was better.
and I still
Right,
think that's gonna be true with the J
Yeah,
turns
I
on
agree.
Saginaw using Value City as the cut through. And there's just no space for the traffic coming off of Saginaw in front of Quality Dairy or Culver's. I think we're just setting up that section of private road. Not us, excuse me, I want to rephrase that. MDOT is putting a whole load of traffic on those private drives that are gonna use it as a cut through instead of going all the way up to Marketplace.
Yeah, because McGaldy Drive, that right turn fails in both the J turn and in the indirect. That's the
Yeah.
one that's a
Got better.
bus. Yeah,
But it was really about traffic backing up from the light,
Yes.
blocking it.
yes.
When they did the counts,
Mhm.
that could prevent you from turning if somebody doesn't let you in.
I think I would love to see an option where the J turn allows people to turn left onto McGaldy and onto the road that goes to Culver's Drive. I think those should line up better personally. And that would be in or lighted, so then traffic could have a better opportunity to get out right as well.
You're saying instead of that J turn right there to the left with the loon that I'm looking at in one of these drawings.
What section you're looking at?
Yeah.
Well, this is McGaldy Drive. That's a J turn with a loon there on one of these options, which must be.
Can you bring up a
single
J turn when?
And this is a double.
That's an indirect.
Okay.
Yeah.
J turn.
Sorry.
Well, that's still the.
So if you go back, that one would be fine. If you go back to the west on that one too. So that right there. Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'd
that's
make
exactly
more
what I'm
sense for those J-turn drives to line up with driveways. Or not driveways, roads.
You mean indirect lefts
Indirect
here?
lefts, that's not a J turn.
Yeah.
The J turns at Broadbent and the J
Yes.
turns at Marketplace in this configuration.
Yep, these indirects,
Yes.
lefts, I feel like the one from eastbound should line up with McGaldy, and the one that's in front of Bell Tire there should line up with Culver's Drive. I think they're backwards, and then you're allowing traffic both, and then they're lighted as well. Does that just not work from a traffic standpoint, or?
So
I'm not getting you.
what happens with the spacing on these, then you end up losing. So if you move that first one or whatever one, then you end up losing storage at the next intersection. Anywhere you
Turn,
slide
be able to
these.
Turn.
Turn. here.
Yeah, so
Right.
Yeah.
zoom out a little bit.
That's Bell Tire over there.
So the one that's on that,
So he's saying.
that first light there, so see,
But then
when you get over to Marketplace, if you slide, you wanted to slide the one over to Menards? Is that what you were saying?
He's
I
saying,
was actually saying to McGaldy,
Oh, to McGaldy.
he's saying a left.
flip those two essentially. Flip the two indirects, so the one that's currently dumping between Menards and McGaldy dumps onto McGaldy, and the one that's dumping basically in front of the MSU building there would dump into the Culver's Drive.
Mhm. And that's,
So they're lined up with roads
Is that what
instead
you're
of
saying?
nowhere. It just seems to me, and then it would be a lighted intersection, so traffic that wants to turn right could also
They
turn
can go
right.
right into it.
Yeah, or left, right in, back. It just seems like that'd be so much better traffic.
Is that something we can ask them at least to find out why that wasn't a consideration or?
Or even one of them.
you, it would be reverse of what traffic in an indirect left would be, because you're putting an indirect left. So let's say the southbound Marketplace folks, they want to go eastbound on M43. So they would pass an indirect left for the other intersection before they hit their intersection. You know what I mean? You always have the first crossover for that right, and then this, the left or the left, right. They're opposite, like they have it here. I've never seen them the other way around. I've never seen them flopped.
But
Not
Keith,
that it
correct me
wouldn't
if I'm
work,
wrong, You're
but-
suggesting this, I guess it's called an indirect left with a loon, right? I'm learning all sorts of new words. I
Yeah.
thought it was a bird. But you're suggesting that wouldn't exist at all. And it would turn left further down. And I understand what you're saying, would cross, because then you'd
It'd be
have an
opposite.
indirect left coming from the other way that would turn on McGaldy.
I envision it to do both, allow the
You're
indirect
saying
left.
get rid of both of these and do them direct on the streets. Is that what you're saying?
Just shift it.
Oh.
I'm talking like just shifting them, but from what he's saying, that doesn't work because you don't cross one before you get to the other one.
Right.
You're gonna.
But is
So
that
they
just
would
a-
have to go through and not, so if you're on southbound, you turn right, you'd have to probably, depending on the signal timing too, you may have to stop to allow those lefts to go into that driveway by Culver's, then go through that light, hit your light to flip around to go into McGaldy Drive, you know, it's just
My guess is that there's a very good reason why they didn't do that. There's
that,
experts. but
because
if they
that's
would-
not standard geometric
No, I
safety
was gonna say,
practice.
You're creating a conflict.
Yeah, you're,
Yeah.
and delays, more delays with the
I
distance.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That answers the
Yep.
question, because I'm sure this one is gonna
Yeah.
get why people.
And the problem is if you shifted the one, oh, let's say you shift the one further east to Menard Drive, then you're gonna lose all your storage.
Yeah.
Could we even
For the
shift
left.
that one to McGaldy Drive? Cause they're still not gonna conflict point, right? And then it would allow some of that truck traffic hypothetically go down McGaldy to get to Menards too. Or Walmart, I wonder,
So instead of the indirect left right after Menards,
just move
coming
it to
from the east,
McGaldy.
have it go to McGall, is your
Yeah.
question?
That's my
Can you
question.
show the indirect left configuration?
Yeah, which one of these is
The first one.
First one's the-
Yeah.
one that-
I think
I think you're on.
I gotta, I believe those crossovers are all about the same
Are they the
location.
same location?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they're,
Is it
they're a little,
different?
they're a little tighter, it looks like.
Right.
A little bit, yep. But we don't like option one anyways, right? We really want
Right.
the J turns then
Right.
with the indirect lefts in the boulevard section.
That was,
Yeah, I think
that was
that's where
the
we were.
consensus by majority last time, that it was gonna be one of those two.
Can we move to talking about the J turns?
I think that's where some of the confusion, the J turn is really only at Broadbent or Marketplace. And anything in the middle, in between is indirect
Little
left.
indirect left
Right.
configuration.
So that's all I'm asking is if we could ask if they could move that
So my
indirect
que-
left.
So my question originally was, you can have the J turn at Marketplace.
Yes. That
But
too.
everything
Yeah.
west of there, why can't you set it up as an indirect? That's all my question was, because my concern is folks who are trying to get across to go home on Broadbent from the south side, how are they gonna do that?
With a J turn.
How are they gonna do that? So if I work at Walmart, if I work at Broadbent Crossings or.
You gotta
Michigan
use one of
State,
those two crossovers, east or west of Broadbent.
So I'm going.
You gotta turn right and then come to the crossover.
Okay.
and come up. On the J turn option.
That's the value
You got it.
proposition.
East
Right.
to go west.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry.
But
That's-
Their
We wanna pull up the
focus-
J turn
their
picture.
focus
Same thing with
is,
folks coming north, going
Yeah.
southbound, all those,
Yeah,
all the
figure out
people,
which it is.
all the subdivision folks. They're gonna go west to go east. That's what I'm saying, okay?
It's 5 o'clock right now. So do you want to Doug get through his presentation and come back with more questions at the next meeting? How do you want to proceed?
Chair.
What do you guys think? I mean,
but let,
we also have the option of holding an additional meeting if we have the right to do
I
that
think
if we
we should
want
do
to.
that, honestly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially if we're trying to target our recommendations for the next meeting, we definitely need a meeting in the interim.
Feels like.
Doug, have you got a pretty good encapsulation
Good
of
with it.
the questions that are being asked here that you could
yes,
elaborate on at the next
Yes.
meeting?
It's working for doing right now.
Well, my question is, even with another meeting, can we make changes at this point?
yes.
So that's what matters to me. If we're having a meeting and having discussions, but we have no.
I mean, yeah, I
authority.
mean, the endorsement can be, okay, for the J turn, we'd like the J turn at Marketplace, but if the
Okay.
board feels the standard intersection at Broadbent, not a J turn's the way to go, that's your recommendation. If they, they take it or not, your board's feeling is that the north-south cross traffic is more valuable than, eliminating the lefts and using crossovers. So, I mean, it can be done that way. Or suggesting moving to one crossover. I've seen a lot of the crossovers shifted to a street,
Mhm.
but again, is McGaldy Lane a private road?
It is.
It's like a driveway. So that kind of gets, and they brought that up last time with the North Leg of Marketplace. That starts to get, I've seen it to regular streets, but when you start focusing, but it is more of a street, not a commercial drive, so,
It's a street.
yeah,
For sure. It was never deeded over,
okay,
but
It
it
is.
is, yes. But Menards actually does all the maintenance.
okay.
And the folks on the south side,
Right.
we all participate in that maintenance.
And I'm sure they'd have to, yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, no, that's fine, as long as it
So
can handle the
do we wanna
traffic.
Try to look for a date. I mean, if we wanted to split,
I
we
think
want
we-
to see if we're available. Do you guys think that we should do that? And if so, are we looking at something out 2 weeks to kind of split? the
Well,
apple?
we have the public meeting next week, right?
Mhm.
Don't you
So maybe
think,
after that,
don't you think it'd be good to come back before that, after that,
yeah.
Yeah.
reconcile comments, what we
Right.
hear?
And let me throw this out. I mean, the packet that you have with the PowerPoint, I think there's probably some other good things in there. And if you have questions or additional comments after you look through it, email Peter and then he can forward them to me and I can kind of try to vent them out. So
Sure.
Peter, along with that though, is it possible to, if everybody's okay with avoiding the indirect to cause confusion, but send electronic versions again of the two J-turns, the ones that you have printed out that are so hard to see?
Send electronic ones like the one,
Back to
they're in
this
your meeting
group
packet.
so
Yeah,
that
they're in
they
your
can-
meeting packet today.
Yeah, they're there.
Okay,
Yeah.
the whole version of them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's.
So,
yeah, I only have one PDF of all, and that's.
Okay, but didn't you zoom
all
in on
three
some of these?
alternates should be in one.
Who's zooming in on a PDF?
Wait, let's see.
Yeah, I know, but isn't it cutting off stuff from the east and west where you zoomed in?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I don't see the highway on any of these pictures. As an
It
example.
might not show the highway.
Oh, scroll over.
Yeah.
Scroll over.
Well, that would be the cue.
It shows-
Yeah, it's,
There we go.
I just didn't scroll because they're so big. So thank you. So again, I was throwing out for consideration that 2 weeks kind of splits the
Yeah.
difference. It does a week after that.
Yeah.
It's May the 20th or June the 23rd,
uh,
potentially at the same time if the meeting space is available, but I don't know if anybody's available or not.
gotcha.
So I just want to throw out one thing while I'm still standing here and I might have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yep, you're good.
So if you look at that picture right there, I don't care if it's the indirect left or the J turn. So you've got that 2-lane crossover. Not much of a loon. We all know how tight it can be driving next to another vehicle or a larger truck like I drive. And then once you turn, depending on what lane you could be in, do you want to go straight? Do you want to hit Lazy Boy? Do you want to hit Menards Drive? Where do you want to go? And that person is going to have to be, who's ever in front of you or you're behind somebody, you're going to have to be paying attention if you're in that outside lane
To make sure that.
because they have like numerous driveways to slam on their brakes and turn quick on you or switch a lane
Yeah.
to try to get to Marketplace in a short
Right.
distance.
We have. a
So
double-
that, I mean,
We're gonna-
I don't know, I've been looking at it, that location, that crossover is tricky because you gotta get the storage in the J turn, to turn left at Marketplace to have that storage and make that queue, but that's one reason why when it gets further, getting rid of one of those Lazy Boy drives, probably the first one, and making that second one, and I drew a picture of it in your packet of what I think needs to be done. That could be a little wider, so for people can write in, write out, there could be an island with it. But it's concerning. I'm just, from my
There's a double
standpoint,
left
but I don't
turn
know if there's a better.
eastward off of 127 and there's accidents there once a month and it's somebody on the inside lane, just not knowing there's 2 turn lanes,
Yeah, I think it's towards the
wandering
end,
into the
Peter.
second lane.
It's towards the end, I think, where I drew it.
So
Coming up.
what about space on
Right there.
June 23rd for a meeting?
I think this room will be available. We do have a special board meeting planned that night, so we have to be out of here by 5:30-ish or so.
Does that, everybody feel like that's the thing to do? June 23rd, 4 o'clock.
Doug, are you available that day?
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
That work for you, Tony?
Yeah. Is it 4 o'clock?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay.
That meeting will allow us to go through the rest of Doug's presentation and then spend some time discussing the alternatives and answer questions.
Yes.
And have the public's feedback too.
I will send a formal invite out, all that.
Great.
We appreciate this piece being thorough with us. We have the time to digest everything.
Oh, no problem. So I'm here for.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Did we, thanks Doug, appreciate it. Do we have any other comments about the June 17th public meeting? Are people planning on attending? I know you don't necessarily have to be there. I'm gonna try to be there.
I'm out of town.
Okay.
I have it in my calendar.
Mhm.
I will be here.
Any questions about that? So the corridor visioning, do you want to table that?
No, I'll touch on it very briefly.
Okay.
So I had been kind of racking my brain, like, how are we gonna have this discussion about the corridor? And then I don't know, I mean, I don't claim to be the smartest person in the world. But it dawned on me, the collision of the master plan and these conversations about the corridor should be together. So I think the corridor visioning just needs to transform into 2025 master plan discussion. And that's gonna be the vehicle for which we have conversations about the corridor. And I think this group would be, and is a perfect fit to have in-depth conversations about the corridor, about policy, about the built environment, you name it. So that's gonna be the vehicle for how these conversations are gonna kind of unveil themselves over the next couple of months. But I just wanted to make that connection in everybody's mind that the township's going through the 2025 master plan update right now. And it's a very natural fit that this group would be kind of the corridor specialists, along with the planning commission and the township board. So I just wanted to at least have that quick conversation, so consider that all one conversation for now. And I don't have any materials on that yet because we really just started the process. So there's this bunch of public engagement plan for this summer. We will see a future land use map draft at some point that will help guide the discussion on land use. And I will talk about like some policy framework things. For example, buildings closer to the road, buildings taller, mixed use that would allow residential on second and third floor. And how we would arrange that and build that into our zoning ordinance so that future redevelopment projects have to follow it.
And I'm curious, specifically from Supervisor Brewer, but certainly from you guys, do you have a vision of whether it would be good for us to know anything about the board's vision for the future? Or would you rather us provide feedback and let that shape the board's vision? I know, and this is admittedly selfish, I mean, I would love some adjustments in the sign policies as an example, or at least like to be considered, but I don't know what way is most valuable for the board to be able to build their plans.
Well, I personally think it's great to hear from the people that are here and what their visions are. I think board members have vision, but I think it's always good to find out what's your vision for the future, how, especially for businesses too, you know, what should we be considering? What should we be thinking about? How can we make this the place that makes your business more successful than it already is? So I would think that Peter's probably already 10 steps and Brian ahead of that and are putting in place markers for such conversations and exchanges of ideas.
Any other comments about Doug's presentation or June 17th or the corridor vision?
Just, I have one thing, June 17th, I know that that's MDOT Day, but we also have a Juneteenth celebration that's going to be at Mount Hope Park. I gave all of you a flyer. So if you're available, please swing by. We're trying to, although we had challenges with public safety and making sure that we had enough staff to protect the 20,000, which we didn't feel that we did at the time of making the decision to cancel the fireworks. But we still want to have the lower level events because Delta is going to rock all summer long. It's just going to look different. We can't do the bigger things that we did, but we are still going to have family fun events throughout the summer, and this is one of them. So I ask that you support all of them. Keep a look on our website and our Facebook page. It's going to tell you about the full Delta Rock series for the summer.
Great,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional new items of business anybody would like to bring up? Did you want to do a brief staff update?
I don't have a lot to share relevant to this group. We are closer on the Bass Pro Shops approval over here at Delta Crossing. So the marketplace, you probably noticed some improvements to Marketplace Boulevard. They've got some pavement markings down. There's more stuff to come. We're working on getting that road, well, we are pushing the people that need to make that happen to get that road as public, because it has supposed to have been public for years now. So we're pushing behind the scenes to get everybody done so that can get done, so they can issue site plan approval, so they can build the Bass Pro, and then everything comes with that. So getting closer.
When's a protected opening for that?
There is no opening right now. Yeah,
Next year?
maybe holidays. I mean, they'd have to like the following year, the following spring, maybe.
Okay.
But there's nothing yet. They haven't broken ground. They've done nothing.
Okay.
Our next meeting now is June 23rd at 4 p.m. Special meeting between and followed by the regular meeting, July 14th in this room at 4 p.m. Anybody have any other comments, questions, considerations?
I just want to thank and welcome the new board members.
Yes.
To thank you for serving. I think it's great. And if it's appropriate to Peter, I'd love to get a picture
Oh,
of the new board
Sure.
group so that we can pump it out. in our
Sounds great.
newsletters.
Anything else?
And congratulations to the new officers. And thank you to the.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want it sitting at the dais or you want?
I think it should be showing that they're working.
All right.
Check the volume.
See you guys.
Please. Hold the meeting adjourned at 4:15.
Thank you.
If anyone has any thoughts, questions, please email me, let me know so I can transmit it to Doug so he gets prepped for our next meeting.
Are you looking for comments for Doug?
Comments, questions, something you think about when you're going to bed later? Oh, what's
I like the conversation about looking at